Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler, and yes, lots of glare on my glasses right now because, oh my god, I'm actually getting to record at a time when it is nice in the Atlanta area and it's daytime. Mind-boggling, I know. What we're going to take a look at this time here is something that is marginally familiar and yet somewhat not. It just kind of depends on whether we're talking about the product inside the product or the packaging outside the packaging. Really just kind of depends on your way of looking at this here. So, to dive right into it here, you may recall that when Solo: A Star Wars Story came out in the US, there was an exclusive steelbook that was at Best Buy. Very flat, right? No embossed frame or anything, just a flat image here and on the back. And our side here had Lucasfilm, the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray symbol, and the title for Solo. And aside from Movies Anywhere / Disney Movie Reward points and all, we saw that the standard Solo disc looked like this for 4K. The standard Solo disc for Blu-ray looked like so. And the Blu-ray bonus disc looked like so. But of course, in the US, in that steelbook, no DVD copy as well. We continued into the coverage of Solo to also take a look at the releases from the UK, as we often do. And we had our 4K steelbook from the UK. Now, this is that JCard, or whatever you want to call it here. The cardboard for 4K actually goes all the way over the top, rather than just covering up the back. We had the ratings, we had Solo: A Star Wars Story, just sort of the standard logo there, but inside it, we had a steelbook that in this case did have that sort of embossed frame. It was not as glossy, it doesn't feel as slick. And then on the spine, Blu-ray at the bottom, not 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray with Solo and Lucasfilm. And of course, when we opened it up, we found the discs very similar, just with the ratings and everything you'd expect from a UK release. We found, however, also that in the UK, there was that steelbook version of it that was a 3D release, hence the 3D Blu-ray symbol down here, and our ratings shoved off there to the side. We had the JCard, of course, Solo: A Star Wars Story, Blu-ray symbol, and so on. Only goes across the back, does not curl over the top like 4K does. Without the JCard, we found this is embossed, just like what we had for the 4K one from the UK. Set up similarly to the 4K one from the UK, so essentially an identical steelbook inside a different JCard. The discs inside being the same Blu-ray bonus disc, but in this case, a 3D Blu-ray copy rather than a 4K copy. Then we also looked at the steelbook from Japan that looked like it was set up the same way as the UK one, except when you looked at the spine, this one actually had the Blu-ray symbol, Lucasfilm, and instead of Solo: A Star Wars Story, all those character portraits that we hadn't seen anywhere else yet. And aside from the little inserts inside, we found this was pretty sweet because it is 4K and 3D and regular Blu-ray and Blu-ray bonus disc. But I believe the last one we actually looked at was the one from South Korea, which doesn't look like a steelbook at first, but then when you open it up, aside from the little booklet, you had, yes, a steelbook inside it. This one's set up again like the UK one, in terms of the embossing, in terms of the spine with Blu-ray down at the bottom, in terms of the texture of it. But this one had your regular Blu-ray, Blu-ray bonus disc, 3D, and 4K like that Japanese one did. Now, all of that is to say, we've looked at a lot of Solo steelbooks, given the relatively limited number of releases Solo has had. This time we're going to take a look at another one, but this is one that actually helps illustrate something I think is kind of cool when we look from region to region. And that is a Solo steelbook coming out of Spain. Now, I'm going to show you just the steelbook without its JCard to start with. Looks pretty much like the UK one. Yep. Lucasfilm Solo: A Star Wars Story Blu-ray. Yep, pretty much like the UK one. Put in the JCard, though, and you start to see some differences. Back first. Obviously, it's in Spanish. You've got the cast, description, shot there, cast crew information, vital stats of the discs, language options, and so on down there. This is going to have a Blu-ray 3D disc in it, so it does have that symbol down there, along with Blu-ray, Dolby Atmos, copy protection, and I don't know if that's a recycling symbol or what, that green thing down there. Legalese and whatnot on the bottom. We have a spine piece here, which just has a product number. Same thing basically on the other side. Where it starts to be different is when you actually look at the front of the JCard. Still has Blu-ray, no need for UK ratings because it's not the UK. But check out the way that the film was entitled, that is, given its title, the title it was given, in Spain. This is not Solo, a Star Wars story anymore. This is Han Solo. Una historia de Star Wars. Right, so not Solo, a Star Wars story, Han Solo, a Star Wars story. There were regions in which Solo, as a title, just didn't really work. So rather than simply calling it Solo, a Star Wars story, and just leaving it at that, and just translating it, instead, we have the fact that Han Solo is a proper name, Solo is a proper name, although one that was just bestowed upon him. And in this particular market, in Spain, it's Han Solo as the movie's title, which, as you would expect, does permeate down into the material, but notice, not on the spine, because this is just that same steelbook that we saw for the UK, that we saw for South Korea, and so on. You open it, and the steelbook itself is the same, so no need to look at that all over again, with a Blu-ray 3D copy. Very much like the other ones we've seen, but Han Solo, Una Historia de Star Wars, Blu-ray 3D, Lucasfilm, product number, copyright, region ABC. So yes, it'll play in a US player, if you happen to have an American player here. You then have film disc, Han Solo, a Star Wars story in Spanish, Blu-ray, Lucasfilm, product number, copyright, ABC again. And then your bonus disc, same. Blu-ray symbol, Lucasfilm, bonus in English, product number, copyright, ABC, and then your logo there. So generally designed like what we saw out of the other regions, except Han Solo instead of Solo. I thought this was a really cool one to pick up. One, to have a backup copy of the 3D film, because you can never have too many backup copies of a 3D Blu-ray, given the fact that you don't get them in the US and you'd have to import them. But I really wanted to show this because of the whole title difference. Usually if I'm going to show how titles differ across regions, it's like Sithin Costo for Revenge of the Sith. But that's not that the title differed per se, so much as it was just translated to a different language. And sometimes we'll see situations where the translation isn't entirely accurate. We saw that with the example of how the Chinese and Taiwanese titles differ for, was it Phantom Menace, I guess, perhaps? You would think that with Solo being a proper name, it'd be the same across the board. It's just the character's surname. But no. The UK, most of the world, Solo, a Star Wars story. Spain, Han Solo, a Star Wars story in Spanish. And the JCard backs are a little bit different. You don't have a quote from The Guardian on the one from Spain, for instance. If, by the way, you're curious about the language options here on the Blu-ray 3D, audio-wise, you have Italian, English, and Spanish. On the regular Blu-ray, same thing. On the bonus Blu-ray, just English. For subtitles, on the Blu-ray 3D copy, it's Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and English for the hearing impaired. Then, for the regular Blu-ray, all of those plus Greek. And then for the bonus disc, lots and lots. We have Spanish, Czech, we have French, we have Greek, we have Hungarian, Italian, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, etc., etc., etc. Lots of different language options. In fact, this may be the version that I've seen so far that has the most subtitle options of the various copies here. So, just wanted to show you that as a cool example. I like the idea of Han Solo, a Star Wars story. It doesn't roll off the tongue as fast as Solo, a Star Wars story, but we also haven't been used to this being the title either. Just a cool way to see a name as an example of something that changes across regions rather than it just being translations from one language to another. I thought that was worth checking out. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.